From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Hannah Mordeau, and this is your News 8 Daily for Wednesday, July 1st. We are in for another day of extreme heat, dangerous conditions outside. Here's Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey with what you need to know.
Let's talk about the alerts right now. Again, it is the excessive heat, extreme heat warning. My apologies. Extreme heat warning. This goes until tomorrow. All right, entire state, really much of the Midwest, Ohio, Illinois, most of Michigan, even up into Wisconsin, Iowa, certainly into Kentucky. Again, this will go until tomorrow night. You could just see the haziness, right? It is gummy outside right now with the sky high humidity at 76 degrees right now. Dew points into the mid 70s right now. Southwest wind at 5 with a clear sky. So super, super muggy. There's your heat dome. Okay. So we're still well into this. And what all this does is a couple of things. And we've brought this to your attention the last couple of days. It keeps us super hot, super humid, right? But it also acts as a lid on the atmosphere. And so it keeps all of the rain chances away. Goes outside of this dome. It's a feature we call the ring of fire, basically. You get storms that will go on the periphery of this high or this dome, and that stays away again for day tomorrow.
Truckers aren't just moving goods. They're making sure bakers get their chocolate chips and hotels get their tiny soaps. But truckers can't do this if they're not on the road. That's why Progressive has over 360 heavy truck employees to help truckers stay on time and on track. Quote truck insurance today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Happening today, a series of new state laws go into effect. The laws are set to impact immigration enforcement, teenagers using social media, and the use of cell phones in schools. The first laws add high-risk missing person to the definition of a missing child, and it specifies that missing children apply to the Silver Alert program. The law also expands who must register as a sex offender. The move came after the disappearance and death of Fisher's teenager, Haley Busby. Kinsley's Law also goes into effect today. It is named after Kinsley Welty. Prosecutors say her mother starved her to death. The law requires the Indiana Department of Child Services to see a child in person within 30 days of closing a case. An immigration enforcement bill also goes into effect. Indiana employers can face civil penalties for hiring or employing people who do not have work authorization. Another law makes camping, sleeping, or using state-owned land as a long-term shelter a misdemeanor. Under the ban, people will get a warning, then have 48 hours to move at least 300 feet away. Another law bans students from using cell phones at school. Students must now leave their phones at home or keep them away while at school. There are exceptions to the rule, including emergencies, medical conditions, and translation needs. Teenagers in Indiana can also now get behind the wheel a little earlier. A new law allows teens to get their driver's license on their 16th birthday. Under the old law, teenagers had to wait 90 days after their 16th birthday before they could get their license.
Else. It's been abused. It's one of those things that was intended to serve a noble and important purpose and has been thwarted and overused and abused. And I will say I'm very disappointed in that outcome. I think it subjects the country to serious challenges going forward, and we'll have to deal with it as a Congress.
That's how Speaker Mike Johnson responding to the Supreme Court's ruling to uphold birthright citizenship. The ruling blocks President Trump's executive order that would have denied citizenship to children born to some non-citizens. Indiana lawmakers are also reacting to the decision. In a statement, Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita says the Constitution is not a suicide pact. It does not require the U.S. to recognize birthright citizenship. It has never required the U.S. to recognize birthright citizenship. SCOTUS got this seriously wrong. wrong, and its decision will have damaging consequences that make our work combating illegal immigration more important than ever. Democratic Congressman Andre Carson responded in a post on social media. He says the Supreme Court just affirmed a fundamental principle of our country. If you are born in America, you are American. We are trying to create a more perfect union every day where everyone is included. In the 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled people born in the U.S. are citizens. The only children excluded are those born to foreign diplomats and children born to foreign occupying force. Trump says the decision is too bad for our country and wrongly suggested that Congress could easily address it with legislation. Since the court's decision rests on constitutional grounds, it would take an amendment to overcome the decision. The Supreme Court also ruled states can prohibit transgender girls from playing on girls' sports teams. News 8's government reporter Garrett Bergquist explains what this means for Indiana's ban.
Indiana's ban was not part of this particular Supreme Court case, but experts tell me the ruling effectively ends any federal challenges to Indiana's law. Indiana is one of 27 states with laws that ban transgender women and girls from college and K-12 women's and girls' sports teams. Justice Brett Kavanaugh writes, consistent with Title IX and the Equal Protection Clause, we hold that the states may maintain women's and girls' sports for biological females. They may determine eligibility for women's and girls' sports based on biological sex.
This ruling basically says if schools and states choose to have such a rule, it does not violate the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause, and it does not violate the federal law that guarantees sex equality in education, Title IX.
Sanders tells me he's not surprised the court relied heavily on biological arguments. Kavanaugh says the plaintiff's premise is the subject of ongoing medical and scientific debate and is not settled in their direction at this time. States and leading athletic organizations disagree with the plaintiffs and have concluded that biological males still retain a physical advantage after taking puberty blockers and hormones.
It's really not a very good support in this case because, like I said, it's the science and the medicine is there to show that there is not that much of an advantage, if anything at all. And it also, I think it sends a bad message to cisgender girls in this situation, saying that, you know, you're less than.
Sanders and Byrne both say this case might potentially form the basis for a future ruling to ban transgender women from women's teams nationwide.
I don't think it's a slam dunk. The Supreme Court surprises us all the time. But I would say there are better than even odds right now that if a case like that gets to the court, a majority of this court would say that women are denied equal opportunity under the law if they play on teams that include biological men, biological boys.
A prominent conservative lawyer tells me he also thinks that's likely.
The argument is that those protections apply to women and should protect them from men invading their private spaces, such as not only their sports, but their locker rooms and bathrooms.
Any further cases involving transgender athletes will need some time to work their way through the court system. As it is, the Supreme Court's term is over and the next one does not begin until October. I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
In your vote, former Republican Indianapolis Mayor Greg Ballard turned in his final batch of signatures yesterday to get on the ballot for Secretary of State. Ballard says that he has turned in a total of 74,000 signatures. He needed 37,000 to get on the ballot. Some signatures typically, though, get thrown out because of some errors. Ballard is running as an independent. If he gets on the ballot, it would set up a four-way race for Indiana's top election.
As I've been telling people, this is more like a movement than a candidacy. People are disillusioned, they're angry with what's going on, and they want a different choice. And I think in Indiana we need more choices across the state. We need to do things a little bit differently so that those people that feel unrepresented across the state now have somebody to vote for.
The Secretary of State ultimately will determine whether Ballard will appear. Ballard would face Republican Max England, Democrat Bo Bai, and Libertarian Lori Schillings. The FAA is now investigating what happened on a United Airlines flight bound for Houston yesterday that had to return to the Indianapolis airport and landed a passenger under arrest. Airport officials say shortly after takeoff, the person caused a disturbance and tried to move up the aisle. Then another passenger stopped them. Here's audio of the pilot talking to air traffic control about what happened.
Yeah, we have a belligerent passenger trying to open the cabin door. We have passengers trying to get him secured in a seat right now. Affirmative, and we'd like to return. We're ready for the approach. We're going to need law enforcement at to meet us at the gate, and if you could possibly contact our operations for us and let them know that we're returning to the gate.
The flight circled Indianapolis in about a 30-minute flight path before returning to the airport. Airport police say they detained the passenger after the flight landed. The flight was able to eventually leave for Houston later. The extreme heat is causing a spike in heat-related calls to local emergency medical services. News 8's Kat Sandoval stopped by and talked to first responders in Indianapolis as they prepare to tackle more cases of heat-related sickness.
We're inside this ambulance, and this is where patients with heat exhaustion would lay and get treated by EMS.
We're seeing folks that are in homes without air conditioning, without power, and that's contributing to this right now.
Dr. Mark Lau has seen plenty of heat emergencies in his 7 years with Indianapolis EMS. Over the past few days, he's noticed a sharp increase in heat-related calls.
Usually we only have, in a single day, we only have 1 or 2 people with heat-related illness or injury. So going up to 9 or 10 is just a forecast of what the next couple of days are going to look like.
Heat-related illnesses can range from mild to life-threatening. Lau says it's important to know the warning signs.
Right now, if someone is having a heat stress, they may feel sick to their stomach, they may throw up, have a headache, feel faint. That's signs of heat exhaustion, and getting out of the heat and staying cool is really important. If someone has a change in consciousness, so they're no longer awake, they're not responsive, or they're very confused, that's a sign of heat stroke. That's a 911 emergency where we have to get them to the hospital and cool them very quickly.
If you need a place to cool off, there are several options across the city, including Indy Park's pools, splash pads, and local libraries. You can also dial 211 to find the nearest cooling center. When temperatures climb, older adults, young children, people who live alone, and pregnant women are especially vulnerable.
Check on your neighbors and loved ones, particularly those that are dependent on having cool locations like air conditioning. We want to make sure that our friends, neighbors, and loved ones are being taken care of during this difficult time.
The Indianapolis EMS says they are expecting an increase of calls this week as the heat advisory continues. Reporting in Indianapolis, I'm Kat Sandoval for Wish TV, wishtv.com.
One man in Indianapolis is finding an exciting way to beat the heat. Meet Bill Wright. He's using extreme heat as an excuse to break out some old-fashioned jet skis. Wright says this is the first time in a while he's had a chance to take them out on the White River. Wright's advice to other people wanting to beat the heat is to be smart about it.
You just need to be smart. You need to be aware. You need to know what you're doing. Don't just get a kayak and go somewhere. Don't get on a jet ski and not have someone show you how to do it. Don't think you can swim. Wear a life jacket.
Other people are choosing Geist Reservoir to cool off. You can see people in their boats, on jet skis, or just enjoying the lakeside view in the video we have on wishtv.com. Staff at the nearby gas house say they're expecting a big turnout this holiday weekend.
Yeah, the 4th of July always gets like super crazy here. We always have like 13 people working, and there's always like a line at the gas house here. And then obviously with the fireworks being on the 4th, that'll be super fun, and it always brings in huge crowds of people.
With the high temperatures and holiday weekend, you may have some big plans on the water too, but first responders say Marion County has seen an alarming number of drownings this year. News 8's Gina Glero spoke to the Indianapolis Fire Department and an Indiana conservation officer about what to know if you're planning to be on the water.
Frank's Paddle Sports Livery is gearing up for one of their busiest weekends, the 4th of July holiday.
This weekend is booked up, not completely sold out. We'd love to have you.
Not without a safety course first, because with the fun comes some risk.
Summer is heating up, people are getting in the water, and with that, we are starting to see those accidental drownings. They're coming from boat related, they're coming from people just swimming in retention ponds, and so it's just imperative that everyone uses some common sense and some safety guidelines if they're going to get in the water.
This year, Marion County has already seen 9 fatal drownings and 3 non-fatal where people were successfully resuscitated. First responders call it an astounding number. Last year, the county had 6.
You know, as a father, my heart just breaks for these families that experience loss.
Take it from IFD's dive commander.
The easiest way and the best way to take care of your loved ones is to wear a life jacket, to wear a PFD.
Even if you are a good swimmer, we see drownings all the time with people who say, I don't understand how this happened. He was a good swimmer. These accidents happen fast. There's a lot of different things that can happen to a person when they're in the water. Absolutely, number one is wear a life jacket.
As well as limit alcohol and always have someone watching the water.
If your children are around water, always make sure a responsible adult is watching your children.
Rain is also creating higher water levels.
Don't take some of these, small, big box store kayaks out onto a swollen river. They're not made for that, and you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Back on the White River, Peter Bloomquist and his team are ready for a fun 4th weekend with safety first.
So it's just so important that everyone watches their kids, watches themselves, make sure that you have those life jackets on, and stay safe on the water.
I'm Gina Galeros for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Sports now. This season's NBA Cup championship game will be played here in Indianapolis at Hinkle Fieldhouse. The NBA made the announcement yesterday. The league's in-season tournament title game will be held on Friday, December 11th at the home of the Butler Bulldogs. This will be the first time that the NBA Cup championship will be outside of Las Vegas. Officials say fans can expect expanded basketball programming across the Butler campus ahead of the tournament's tip-off. This will be the 4th year for the NBA Cup. Indiana Fever are helping women get menstrual health products. Fever players and other people in the program assembled hygiene kits at an event called Period Pack last week. They put together 5,000 kits. Each has 15 tampons and 8 pads. The team says those kits will be given to women and girls in need across central Indiana. This is the 2nd year that the Fever have hosted the event. Kelsey Mitchell is teaming up with Tyrese Halliburton and Puma. Mitchell will be part of the Halle franchise. It comes just a year after Puma and Halliburton released the Halle Ones, his famed shoe. Mitchell says Halliburton's transparency convinced her that he's the right guy to partner with.
He was just clear and 100% honest about what he wanted for his, for his brand under Puma, and I think that he saw that I fit that criteria, and I think that him being a human about it and just being cool, man, I take pride in them kind of things. You can't be around people that can make you better and pour into you, then it's not the best, and so he did all that.
Mitchell is a 3-time WNBA All-Star and the Fever's all-time leader in the made three-pointers category. She also set the franchise single-season scoring record last season with 890 points. A piece of television history has raised big money for public broadcasting in Indiana. An original Bob Ross painting created for The Joy of Painting sold for $320,000 at an auction yesterday. The painting, Mountain Summit, was done during the show's 13th season in Muncie, which was filmed at Ball State. Proceeds from the sale will support Ball State PBS and its programming. This has been your News 8 Daily from Wish TV. I'm Hannah Mordeau. Follow us on Wish TV and WishTV.com.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
As a small business owner, sometimes it feels like no matter how much planning you do, there's always surprises, like an urgent, expensive repair. But here's a surprise you will like. With Progressive, small business owners save 13% on their commercial auto insurance when they pay in full. So enjoy a surprise for once. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.
Ever wonder who's out there making the world go round? It's truckers. Who unites baristas with coffee beans? Truckers. Who unites dogs with their favorite chew toy? Truckers. That's why Progressive offers truckers even more protection with Cargo Plus coverage to keep truckers moving right along. Quote truck insurance today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms, limits, and conditions. Not yet available in California, New York, and Virginia.
As a small business owner, sometimes it feels like no matter how much planning you do, there's always surprises, like an urgent, expensive repair. But here's a surprise you will like. With Progressive, small business owners save 13% on their commercial auto insurance when they pay in full. So enjoy a surprise for once. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.